Hello, my name is Nico, and welcome to the Summer Schoolin' YouTube channel. Uh, yes, I thought what better way to launch this channel than by having my obligatory why I quit teaching video. And I know that there is a body of YouTube videos out there of teachers quitting the field and explaining why they quit. And I gotta say, they provided a lot of solace to me during my teaching career. And I taught for only 2 years. Let me just put that straight to you. But I will also preface that with I may have only taught full time for 2 years, but I have been working with children for 7 years in total. I got into the field as a child care worker. I'd mostly work with kids after school, grades K through 7, playing games with them outside, just talking to them, tutoring them. It was basically I was in charge of providing their fun after school experience. That's what I did for about 4 years. I did substitute teaching for elementary schools for 2 years. I was a Playworks instructor for 2 years. By Playworks, I mean that my job was to organize fun outdoor games for the kids to play, grades 1st through 5th, at recess. And man, I've even babysat kids. You know what? One of the funnest jobs I did for the school district was being a groundskeeper too. I did everything in and around schools except for be a teacher. My first year of teaching was, 2 years ago, and I was a full year distance learning teacher. I will make a whole separate video on how that experience was. And then my second year of teaching was for 4th and 5th grade. I was a science ELA teacher and a social studies teacher. So I didn't just get into teaching just or working with kids just as a teacher. I came into this field childcare first, and then I went to become a teacher. And now I'm done because I'm not having fun with that job anymore. What I tell people is I love teaching kids, I love working with kids, and I love teaching kids academic subjects. And what I've learned through those first 2 years is that those three things have very little to do with the job of teaching. So without further ado, here are my 7 reasons for why I left this field. Reason number 1, we've gotten away from the mantra of it takes a village to raise a child. I don't know what happened, when did it start turning, but the communities around school and we as a society have started to put this pressure on teachers to be everything in a child's life. And I noticed that teachers take that upon themselves too, and I never could understand that. I would always say to myself, I only got 6 to 7 hours with a kid. I'm going to do my absolute best to make those 6 to 7 hours engaging, challenging, and ultimately rewarding for the child. But to think that me and all my work is going to supersede or override the other 18 hours that child has in life. I am just one person in this child's network. They got their parents, they got maybe churches, their friends' parents, aunties, uncles. All of that is part of their development. I'm just one person. And I don't get, and I'm concerned by this drive to make teachers solve everything with the kid. We gotta get away from that and take into account how we conduct ourselves in and around children. I don't know. It disturbed me and it disappointed me, and I didn't want to constantly be the scapegoat, which a lot of teachers feel like they are the scapegoat, and it's very unfair. Reason number 2, your time as a teacher is constantly wasted. My God, the amount of terribly pointless professional developments that I had to attend, professional developments that were so... It was like watching snake oil salesmen. They just come through, these people, and they have these very, on the surface level, very, agreeable ideas. Like, we want to teach kids some emotional lessons, or We want a kid to feel a sense of resiliency, blah, blah, blah. Once you start asking, and I would be that person in professional development that would just purposely ask questions to poke holes in the idea, because that, for me, is how you find out if an idea is practical or not. Whenever you would ask questions, it would be either dismissed or pat on the head. That's nothing to really be concerned about. And somehow these professional developments, in collaboration with your principal, your administration, or if you're a new teacher like I was, your BTSA program, those things all in combination, it just kind of feels like this is a forced encounter with these individuals that are hosting these classes, because none of the material actually have anything to do with what you're going to do in the classroom. None of the material is even relevant to the kids. I'm sorry, I got to call out some names. We know Soul Shop, for example. On the surface, great idea. Make your money, Soul Shop. But we can't sit here and act like my children that I've had like that stuff. They don't connect to it. It's weird. It is I don't know. It's just blatant pandering to kids. It's very lazy. It's a very lazy approach to working with children. At least the things that I encountered in these professional developments. I can go on about that, but we got a whole list to get to, and I can make other videos. By the way, before I go, when I said BTSA, the first 2 years, this isn't part of this reason of your time is constantly wasted. In your first 2 years, not only do you have to teach and have to keep track of all the 30 individuals or so in your room, their parents, what the administration wants from you, the standards, the pacing that you got to hit for the whole year. You also have to record like this, oh my goodness, like 25-page boxes and bullets kind of inventory of self-reflection on how your practice and what is it doing and how does it name 3 reasons. Gosh, this is what I hate. If I was doing what the teachers do to new teachers and other teachers, what I saw that drove me crazy, if I was doing that to kids, I would immediately be told that I am a terrible teacher. I am not doing anything to engage these children, and I'm involved in draconian practices of just giving worksheets, looking for answers with an answer in mind on my end, not really caring about what the kids are thinking and taking it in. We do that to each other all the time as teachers, but then we take the high road and say, don't do that to the kids, though. It was terrible. It was condescending. That's why I left. Reason number 3, individual thought is discouraged. I didn't want to think that in a place, in an institution that prides itself on being the beacon of cultivating individual thought within kids, critical thinking, all of these things, these buzzwords that are thrown as values that are shared to the students that pass through its halls. They really don't live that life. I'm sorry to say. I mean, it's not about what you as an individual teacher or administrator think. It's more so, it sounds sharp, but can you obey what we have to do? The district is asking for these things. We need it at all cost. If you rock the boat, especially if you're not tenured, we're replaceable. We don't care how much the kids like you. We don't care how much the parents like you. We need this. Whatever it is, it's usually data. And I just never understood it. I'll say it more in future videos, but I was very critical and concerned with the politics that were running through school. This leads into reason number 4 right now. Politics was just getting way too involved in what the curriculum was. And I know this is a hot button issue, and I embrace talking about it because it's so problematic and concerning to me. I didn't like how much the politics of adults, and it's mostly just left-leaning because this field does not have any conservatives in it. Not saying I'm a conservative, but if I was, why would there immediately be disdain for what's different? If it's just groupthink is running rampant in elementary schools, and it's mostly of the mindsets and ideology that white people have ruined the world. There's evidence of it riddled through history. Understand that. Teach it to the kids. And that's about it. And I was never comfortable with that because I knew very quickly that I'm half black and half Filipino. I understand that racism is a serious problem, but I do not find it smart to move and progress from racism to a higher level, whatever that level is, by creating a hatred and disdain for white people. I have white kids in my class. Are they just not going to feel terrible or have low self-esteem for something they are not connected to at all? And even if it isn't about the curriculum, it got to a point where I felt like I was just seen as some political chit to discuss what is so accepted. It honestly, like, they see me half black, half Filipino, and they're like, oh, you understand America's oppressive, so I don't even need to talk to you. It's this weird, like, you never talk to me. You never ask me what my hopes and my fears are. You just assume that I think everything the way you do. And even if I did, why would I bring that into a classroom? That's dangerous. Like, I'm here to teach kids reading, writing, and arithmetic. I'm not here to teach them not even teach them injustices in the world and atrocities. I can teach them that, but I'm not here to manufacture their specific response to those atrocities, because that's what it is. It's they're moving teachers in this direction of cultivate contempt, and understand just the grossness of this all. And it happened because of white supremacy, and it's lazy, and that laziness is resulting in an environment that trains kids to only see their value based on their external appearances, which is just, it's sad. It should be, school, at least to me, should be a place about cultivating character and values that are universal. I tell the kids, hey, I hope you don't like me just because I'm a male teacher. Like, I hope you like me because I'm a good teacher. I hope you don't like me just because I'm a black teacher. I hope you like me because I'm a good teacher. Because my mindset is, if I'm teaching at a school that everyone there is young, black, young, and biracial, I'd still aim to stand out. Because that's the point. I don't want to just be a black and a biracial teacher or a person of color. That is so limiting to who I am and what I have to offer the world. And that's a two-way street. These kids aren't their external appearances. There's a whole universe behind them, and you're only focusing and training them to focus on their outer appearance? No, not good. And I'll leave a link in the video to something that I had to do for the BTSA program where I gave my thoughts on it. But I got 3 more reasons to go. Reason number 5, parents. Parents, I will say right off the bat, the majority, I would say 90% of the parents that I encountered and worked with were great, very nice, and respectable people. Now that 10%, every teacher on YouTube that's talking about why they quit, they know that 10% is just, I gotta say, there's some despicable actions, the things that parents do, quote unquote, in the name of their child is it's heartbreaking. It's almost like days where as teachers, we have to take the L. Like, we're not superseding anything that is said by a parent, even if there's a written confession from the kid and they're caught on video. If a parent is motivated to not acknowledge that their child had a lapse in judgment, it's an L. Like, don't even take it to they will sue. At least at the school I was at, there are some nasty and despicable parents out there, and yes, they make up a minority of the parent community. I don't believe that that's all parents, but parents need to look at that and be like, Yeah, hey, like I said, we're getting away from we're getting away from it takes a village. Other parents should see that and be like, no, 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 we're not doing that here. We're not going to disrespect the teacher and demean them because we have tech jobs and or whatever high paying job, not just tech. Sorry, tech people, but we have higher paying jobs and we understand that's what it takes for a child to get to where they need to go. You don't understand that. Oh my gosh, I'm going to make videos on that too. But there's just this attitude that comes from these bad parents of, my child is going to Stanford tomorrow. I need every good grade that I can get. And at any cost, like it I will never say that I will never say that a child shouldn't value a family shouldn't value getting high grades. But if that's all that is in their sense of self-worth, that's sad because then they're going to grow up getting straight A's, getting the credentials, but guess what? They're going to have no coping skills and they're going to be depressed. And you call that a victory? I don't care what Ivy League school they end up graduating from. That's a terrible existence. And it should be called out. It should really be called out. You can nurture education as something valuable in life, but not at that expense. Not at that expense. And some parents have that. Some parents have that. Reason number 6: data. All we need is data. And I will never make the argument that we don't need data and we don't need testing. I think there is some value in having access to some sort of numerical assessment or a way to get numbers of what's going on in the class. I know the kids that I work with hate iReady. I'm not going to do it all the time. I did it 3 times when I was obligated to, but it's I like seeing what is assessed. Something that's done just to see where a kid's at is no problem to me, but the absolute hunger to get those numbers again at all cost is what disturbed me. I remember my first year in teaching, again, during full year distance learning, we had schools shut down and the district was saying, oh, we can't have 6 feet apart kids and never, you always wear your mask even if you're eating, blah blah blah, all these huge rules to protect from a scary situation. Fine. But when it came time for testing, statewide test at the end of the year, suddenly we're just going to open up our cafeterias and have kids from all over the district meet at this one place to take these 3-hour tests. Oh, by the way, as teachers, we weren't allowed to tell parents that they had a right to not to opt out of the test. If I were to do that, my ass would be on the line. So it was dirty. It was dirty. That was one of the things that I was just like, wait, I can't tell these parents that they can opt out and have their children avoid all of this stress in an already tumultuous year? All right, you want that data that bad? Do it. Reason number 7 is complacency. Complacency is just, I think that kind of encompasses all of this stuff, is complacency. Why do we need to change? What is there need to change here at this institution? We're doing fine. In fact, if we need to change anything, it's more money, because that's going to solve everything. And we keep getting more money and nothing changes. Where is that money going to? I don't know. And I think I'm going to close it with this one story. The Baltimore City School District. I always tell this story to people, and I told it to a colleague, and it changed my perspective till now, and still going for sure. But in Baltimore, I'm going to pull up the story just so I can see it in the background, and I'll link it in the description. In Baltimore, a senior, upon reaching graduation, was told that they had to redo all of school all over again, all 4 years. And upon further investigation of this student's transcripts, he had an accumulative GPA of 0.13. Here's the kicker. Not only was it 0.13, that student was in the middle of their class. Here's another thing. This student also turns out they had, in the 4 years leading up to into this point, 272 late or absent notices during his first 3 years. That is somehow bolstered by the fact that during that time, in those 272 absences, I think only 3 teachers reached out for a conference to the mother. And here's the crazy thing, is that the Baltimore City School District is actually among the most spending per student in the country. So they have the money. Sure, we need to have a talk about where that money is going. But when I told this to my colleague, her response was, Nico, that's a community problem. Why did the school continue to let this student just pass, and those other students that are behind this student continue to pass? Why did no one reach out to the mother? How does the mother not recognize that their son has been missing for 272 days? I know that if I miss 2 days of school, my dad would, oh my gosh, I'd just be taking so many L's for skipping 1 day of class. I didn't have the heart to do it. How does the mom not recognize that? And why is that being allowed to be pushed through at a district level of getting this student to the next stage? You're setting them up for the failure. I think that's the story I'm going to end on, because it kind of encapsulates all those reasons of why I left teaching. There are a lot of things to talk about. Thank you for staying for this whole video so far. I'm going to try and cut this down, but I appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video and my reasoning, maybe you didn't enjoy it, leave a message in the comments. Like, subscribe. I'm going to be having a lot of more videos just talking about education, in and around education, sometimes outside of it, because I still love this field. I'm interested in it, but I don't want to be in a classroom. However, there's value in discussing what can make these classrooms better, because I won't be the person to say that public schools are dead. I will say that there is something worth saving. There's always something worth saving. So thank you again. Take care. Until next time, rest, reflect, and recuperate. See ya.